nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Cardanaya,
Present.
Vice Mayor Lorena Delgadillo,
Present.
Councilmember Jesus Roldan, Councilmember Luis Galindo, Councilmember Miguel Villalpando,
Present.
Councilmember Juan Castillo,
Present.
Councilmember Marta Gonzalez.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We're gonna move on, call to the public. Anybody from the public want to address council? There's none. We're gonna move on to consent agenda. We have one item, check register for the month of May 2025. Does any member of council want to remove the item from consent agenda? Is there a motion? So a motion by Vice Mayor Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Councilman Castillo. In favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're gonna move on to new business. Item 6.1, discussion of possible action to approve the purchase of dispatch console furniture for the 911 dispatch center.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Araceli Juarez, Chief of Police. Before you, the item that we're asking for you to consider and hopefully approve is going to be a high-quality dispatch consoles for our dispatch center that has, the one that we currently have is about 18 years old, has been used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week since we moved into the building, which was in late 2006. We're hoping to support our dispatchers' health, productivity, and efficiency in a place where they'll be handling emergency situations. This is going to be covered by a grant that's already been approved by council in the amount of $113,491.95. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
So move, Mayor.
So motion by Councilman Villalpando,
Second.
second by Councilman Castillo. In favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.2, discussion of possible action to approve the purchase of 12 Sionic Weapon Systems.
Mayor, good evening again. Araceli Juarez, Chief of Police. The item before you is going to be again for consideration and hoping approval for $33,229.59 for a couple rifles that we need to replace. The rifles that we currently have, they're 21 years old. So we're hoping that this can be approved. This particular seller is under contract with the state. We did reach out to two more in the process that we had for the purchase of the rifles, which was ProForce and Smith & Wesson, and we didn't get a response. This particular company is a sole source provider. One of the things that they do why these weapons are so special is they provide the rifle and the suppressor. Part of that is allows the suppressor to reduce the sound and muzzle that would be going to the officer. This will be going opposite from the officer towards and preventing it from coming into its face. And they're built for professional law enforcement. 90% of the law enforcement agencies use it across the state. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion? So motion by Vice Mayor Delgadillo. Second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Also in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So who's on the phone? Is it
This is Councilmember Galindo, Mayor.
the Council Galindo?
Thank you, Mayor.
This item 6.3, we're gonna move it to a future meeting.
Yes, Mayor, if I may, we'd like to request that this be moved to a future meeting. We'd like to come back with a policy, not to just address this particular request, but for the whole agency itself, so that there is a policy in place that is approved by Mayor and Council.
Do we need a motion for that? No? Okay. Item 6.4, discussion and possible action to approve a request from Housing America to waive $5,000 in minor variance application fees.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The item before you on the agenda is a request by Housing America Corporation, a nonprofit affordable housing builder, to waive $5,000 in minor variance application fees associated with the development of 20 new single-family homes at Somerton 1898 subdivision. Mayor and Council, Housing America Corporation submitted 20 building permit applications for the construction of 20 new homes at the Somerton 1898 subdivision, which is located in the R15 zoning district. The single volume of that single submittal, 20 building permits, amounts to more than the average of the entirety of building permits for new homes submitted in a single year over the last 2 years. So on average, we received less than 20 submittals per year. They, with this single submitted, equated to what a whole year's worth of permits has been looking like recently. So it's a substantial submittal. During the first plan review of the 20 permits, the Community Development Department identified that all 20 site plans, all 20 submittals exceeded the maximum allowed lot coverage of 40% in this zoning district. And Housing America was advised of two options. Option one would be to revise their plans to comply with the maximum 40% lot coverage requirement or apply for 20 individual minor variances. So in essence, in short, all 20 homes did not fit on the lots and would require a revisal or a minor variance. Given that all 20 homes were already under contract and being financed by USDA-backed loans, Housing America informed us that revising the plans was not a feasible option, as it would introduce delays and possibly, in the worst case scenario, could kill the deals for the 20 families. And thus, in May of 2025, they applied for 20 minor variance applications, one for each lot. Following a detailed review, the city's minor variance committee determined that each request met the minimum required findings and subsequently approved all 20 minor variances. And thus all 20 building permits were issued, and the Housing America Corporation last week held their ribbon cutting at 1898 subdivision. And so all 20 homes will be built. However, the cost for the processing of the minor variances, which is $250 each. So for all 20, $5,000 remains unpaid. Housing America is now formally requesting that the City Council waive $5,000 in minor variance application fees, claiming that any additional costs that you put on any of these USDA-backed loans could result in a potential cancellation of the purchase contract. And that is where we are right now. With this request, absent council action, Housing America will be invoiced for the outstanding fees, and the certificate of occupants will be withheld until the payment is received for all 20 homes. Any questions on their request or on the sequence of events so far?
Any questions or comments? Vice Mayor? Okay.
I have a question, Saul. Andrea, can you bring it down a little? There's a sentence there that kind of concerned me. It said that, or you just read, if you could go down a little, something about cancel the contract. That means that we don't approve to waive, then the families won't be able to build their homes?
Vice Mayor, any added cost that is added to the loans, according to Housing America, puts the loan at risk. I don't know to what extent, but that is what we have been told, that the loan for a house is pretty much set once you go into it. And because they're low income, if you will, it's a little bit more delicate. That is what staff has been informed. And
But this isn't the first time Housing America has built in Somerton, so we've always
Vice Mayor, this specific request, in the past, the city has granted reductions for building permits for Housing America whenever the city raises the building permit fees every so often. This is not one of those occasions. This is more of a one-off. These are minor variances. You typically don't get a minor variance unless something abnormal happens, such as this was the case. The homes didn't fit. Their standard models that they had designed didn't fit on the lots. Typically, we don't see this very often, especially with tract home builders such as Housing America. So this is, I would say, different than those instances that they've received reductions, because those were for building permit reductions. This is for a minor variance reduction or waiver.
Mayor, if I may,
Councilman Villalpando.
for me, I have a hard time with this, and not because I don't believe in their mission statement. As most of you know, I do work with low-income families myself, but it seems like this was an internal matter that somebody overlooked, a particular design or whatever, miscalculated, and that has nothing to do with the city. Previously, like Vice Mayor said, we've worked with them when we felt that it was something that we caused. And it's not a practice that I want to establish where anybody can come by and ask us for waivers, which obviously they can, but it's not something that I want to do. And as most people work in nonprofits, which I do myself, on certain grants, there is indirect monies that they could charge. It could be anywhere like around 10%. So if a grant is $1 million, the nonprofits basically cut 100,000 that they could pocket. And so I don't know what their finances are, but it's something that was caused internally, and it has nothing to do with the city. And I, for one, I'm not ready to establish a precedence and where I'm waiving fees for anybody that comes by and asks for these type of fees to be waived.
Councilman Castillo.
You answered my question. I was going to ask if we as a city had done something. I've waived something like this before, but you answered it right now when you answered Vice Mayor's question.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
I just want, Saul, can you also let them know what they're going to do, Housing America, to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yes, of course. So I do have some additional information in addition to that, what Louis mentioned there. So staff is already working with the architect team at Housing America to revise their plans in the future, so that, because they have 33 remaining lots after this, or 32 or 33, more than 30, so that this doesn't happen again. If council were to approve this, it would be, staff would recommend that it be a one-time approval only. But we're already talking with their architects to ensure that they reduce the footprint of the home so that it fits on so that it meets the 40% lot coverage. Another thing a couple of things I want to also point out for council's consideration is that the $5,000 that we would collect in fees for the minor variances were not anticipated revenue for the city. When we did our budget last year, we didn't anticipate that we would get this massive influx of minor variance requests. So there would be no budgetary shortfall. Housing America is also a community-based development organization, which is a recognized nonprofit organization. They're also one of the oldest home builders here in Somerton, and the city has granted relief for them in the past. Most recently in June of 2016 for 26 homes, in February 2020 for 12 homes, and most recently August of 2024. And there was also that one home on State Avenue not that long ago. So in the past, the city has worked with them on fees. And this also, what they contribute to the city is affordable housing, and that is one of our recognized goals in the general plan, is to support affordable housing and provide them with partnership opportunities. That is all I have on my end for the presentation. If there are no further questions.
Councilman Castillo.
Yes.
Is there a plan B? Let's say, hypothetically speaking, if it doesn't go through, what other options were considered or discussed? Or was this the only thing that was discussed?
Plan B would be that they have to pay the minor variances. There really hasn't been another option discussed.
Like payment plan or anything like that? I'm just trying to.
Housing America representative wants to speak.
Good evening, Yolanda Galindo, Executive Director for Housing America. And to answer your question, Councilmember Castillo, that cost will be incurred by the families. That would be an additional 250 that would be incurred for the families. And to answer your question, Councilmember Villalpando, it could have been an internal oversight on that. However, the plans were submitted, those design was submitted 2 years ago, I believe. I believe not knowing the lot coverage, the percentage of lot coverage, families were approved according to the building permits, the fees and the loan. So we would not be able to charge that to indirect. That would be to the families. That would be in being of the low income families. And I believe one of your goals in your 2020 general plan states, I mean, us being the largest nonprofit housing developer in the city of Somerton, I believe we want to continue having that partnership with the city and us providing the affordable housing that is much needed in your community.
So what the oversight on that was due to staff, city staff error?
Could be. I've been there for 1.5 years and this was prior
Okay.
to my
so-
arrival.
So Louis, can
But
you
we
look
are-
into it? Because if it's city staff, as,
Oh, no, not city staff. I think it was
Okay.
internal hack staff.
oh,
It was
okay,
internal,
so
but moving
again,
Yeah, I
forward.
just-
so it goes back to what I said. It has nothing to do with the city. I could see if we impacted this, then yes, we should do something about it, which we've done in the past. But if it was internal,
Yeah.
it's internal.
No, and I
mean,
understand that. I
Every single
understand.
time, if I do something wrong in my house, I don't expect the city to come and bail me out. You know, and so, like I said, that's just my stance. You have other council members. Again, I do work with a low-income population myself, but sometimes agencies have to be held responsible for some of their mistakes.
No, I understand. And the amount of the building permit fee that was, granted to the city of Somerton versus the 5,000, it's a very minimal amount. And I think that's when the partnerships come in. I think
Yeah,
that's when the
it's a
partnerships
minimal
come in.
amount, but
This
it's
is our
also a
return
minimal
back.
amount to Housing America. 'Cause, I mean, they're a multi-million-dollar organization. So if we want to go that route, we could throw it back the other way.
Vice Mayor?
What is the largest fee, Saul, that we waived to Housing America? Because you said you named quite a few different developments. Do you know more or less?
Out of the ones I mentioned, Vice Mayor, the waiver in, when was it? The 26 homes in 2020 had a total combined fee reduction of about $10,000. And the other ones were about half of that, the second largest one.
So what concerns me at this moment is a comment that she just made, that the plans and everything was submitted 2 years ago, which I understood as Councilman Villalpando is it's the cities.
Not to the city, to USDA.
To USDA. Okay, so then Rolo is part of Housing America, right? So there was no variance there. So I'm not understanding how those homes were able to be built without this variance, but now the new homes need this.
Vice Mayor, there's a very simple answer to that. The Rollo is zoned R16, so 6,000 minimum size lots. In 1898 is R15, so minimum 5,000. So those extra 1,000 square feet come into play.
And also, Vice Mayor, we're doing a totally different model of home.
Any other questions or comments? Well, the last comments you mentioned here before, it's just, I understand what Councilman Villalpando says, but, they are our biggest home builder, plus the designation, special designation of a SHOTO, and I feel that, it's one of those things that they're the only SHOTO in the city working, maybe Bienestar too, but I feel that we've had years to working with that as Farmers Home, now Housing America. It's they built what, 80% of our homes here in Somerton.
It's up there.
And, you know, what's the fee for each home?
The fee or the total permit cost?
The total permit cost for each home.
I don't remember off the top of my head exactly, but it's somewhere between 12 and 14,000.
And that's 20 homes, right? Plus additional homes. And like you mentioned, at least the way that, you know, I just would justify, I justify it is that it's not like development fees that it needs to come from a certain fund. It's just waiving the fee that, and hopefully, you know, in the future, that's caught, or now that because yeah, it maybe wasn't the city's fault, but we did change along the way the allowing the 5,000 square foot lot. So it's a learning experience for everybody. And like I said, we worked with Housing America for years, and in the past when we changed the fees, we have waived some of the fees. So at least for me, that's a way that I see it. But you know, I do understand what Councilmember Villalpando was you know, questioning, because yeah, it seems every time that there is a development, we need to be waiving fees. And like I said, it's always a concern for councils, like, are we setting a precedent for that? But the way the agreement is that SHOTO designation, that not everybody developer has it, and not everybody works with low income families. So at least, any other questions will come?
No, I think I do agree with your comments, Mayor. But I also understand Councilmember Villalpando's point of view, because it kind of seems that you know, we're going to be taking that. We don't want to be seen as the bad guys here, that for these 20 families not to get the house, their homes. But I mean, if we've done it in the past, I'm inclined to move forward with it. You know, but again, let's just make sure that the due diligence is done, so that we don't find ourselves in the same predicament again.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a request from Housing America Corporation, a nonprofit affordable housing developer, to waive $5,000 in minor variance application fees associated with the development of 20 new single-family homes within the Somerton 1898 subdivision.
So motion by Councilman Castillo, is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council.
Item 6.5, discussion of possible action to approve the reallocation of $60,000 from fiscal year 2025 CIP account.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. James Jones, Parks and Rec Director. The item before you is a request to approve the reallocation of $60,000 from fiscal year 2025 capital improvement projects accounts 507147, 517247, 517319 to the account of 204001, and to authorize awarding a contract to Garcia Concrete LLC, the lowest qualified bidder for emergency repairs to the damaged walking path at Paracone Park as part of the Paracone Walking Path concrete repair project. The walking path concrete at Paracone Park sustained damage and requires immediate repair due to safety concerns for park users. Staff has not been able to identify the cause of the damage, but feels it could be part of the increased amount of activity in the area due to city growth, the original scope of work being below today's construction standards. The scope of work for this project includes demolition and installation of 2,000 square feet of concrete with recycled ABC and rebar stub outs and 3,000 PSI Class A type concrete to meet the city's and county construction standards. The repair was not included in the current fiscal year capital improvement plan as the damage occurred during the fiscal year. In working with finance, we request fiscal year 2025 CIP utility rate plan be moved to fiscal year 2026, or will be moved to fiscal year 2026 capital improvement project. This amount is $60,000, which is budgeted for $20,000 in each of the following accounts: 507147, 517247, and 517319. The original amount budgeted in the enterprise fund, but this fund has been transferred from the general fund to cover the expense CIP budgeted items. Therefore, the staff is requesting to transfer $60,000 to account 204001 miscellaneous projects for this emergency sidewalk repair. Procurement for this project was Garcia's Concrete LLC for $29,500, Innovative Precast LLC for $30,340.76, and GCE for $41,613. The future plan for the park is to install pour-in-place rubberized sidewalk to help make the walking path more attractive for our residents. But to do this, we first need to install a solid surface. At this time, recommendation is to approve the allocation of, or at this time, staff recommends to approve the allocation of $60,000 from fiscal year 2020 or 2025 capital improvement project accounts 507147, 517247, and 517319 to authorize awarding a contract to Garcia Concrete LLC for $29,500, the lowest qualified bidder, for emergency repairs to the damaged walking path at Perricone Park as part of the Perricone Walking Path Concrete Repair Projects. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Any questions or comments? Councilman Villalpando.
I have one question, James. You need a 25,500, correct? Just for the concrete work. Where's the other?
I worked with finance, so I'm gonna let Chona answer this.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
You lost me at all those numbers.
Yeah, they're
Just like,
ready.
just tell me how much you need.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can use some that up.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Chona Medell, Finance Director. The reason for the 60,000 being transferred and the contract or the procurement only coming back to 29,500, the 60,000 is one project. And so it's easier explainable if audit questions come back as far as transferring. I don't want to transfer an individual amount. And then, 20 years later, when somebody's looking at something and they're looking at it and they're asking why 29,000 and the project was 60,000. So it's easier to transfer all of that money as one project. And then he is only going to use 29,500.
Okay, so
I don't want to hear the account numbers again.
so my question is, what else do you have in line for miscellaneous project? Is there anything else or no?
Not at this time. No.
Okay. That's it.
So the remaining balance goes where, Chona? It just
The remaining balance just stays there. It just transfers over. And then once our fiscal year ends, it just falls off and then we go from there. So that line item will be over budgeted for the remaining amount.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
So move.
So motion by Councilman Villalpando. Second by Councilman Castillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Summary of current events.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. First, we have Charles Gutierrez, Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. This upcoming week and this weekend, we have a couple projects going to be happening. This weekend, we have the parking lot maintenance seal coating project for Joe Munoz parking on Somerton Avenue and on Fern Street. June 20th, they will go ahead and seal it completely. Same thing on the Fern Street one on June 23rd. Both projects will be striped by the end of the 23rd. This week or this upcoming week, that starting on the 23rd, Las Estrellas 4 and 5 will start to have the fog seal taken care of. They will be going out there and fog sealing, and then on the 26th, Jefferson Street from Somerton Avenue to Cesar Chavez will be road closed in the morning, and a 1/4-inch chip seal will be applied, and then the following day on Friday, a fog seal will come back, and then right behind them, Safe Line will be coming back and striping over the weekend most likely, and we'll have our project completed. Thank you.
Next, we have Jasmine, Economic Development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jasmine Samadio, Economic Development Director. and PIO. So City Hall welcomed 100 students this past May and June, and we gave them a tour of City Hall. We also let them have some workshops. And the overall consensus was they loved coming to City Hall. They loved the workshops, and I got really good feedback from the schools and the teachers. And then we also had Campesinos Sin Fronteras bring their summer boot camp or their summer camp here. They also enjoyed the tour here. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for coming and introducing yourself. It meant a lot to them. Planning has begun for Leagues of Cities. Please share any ideas or inputs you have in an email to me before we move forward. I would love to hear what you guys would like to see at the Leagues of City in our booth. I did meet with ACA, which is the Arizona Commerce Authority, and I expressed to them that Somerton is open for growth and welcomes opportunities for light industry and open to any economic development ideas. And I hope to develop this relationship with the ACA, who mainly focuses on industry attraction. So I hope to develop that relationship with them. And lastly, we have a ribbon cutting for Bell Dance Studio. They're located at 510 West Main Street. Everyone's invited, and that will be Thursday, June 19th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Mayor, that's all we have.
Councilman Galindo.
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
I attended the PSMAC from the league this past May 28th, and they talked about PSPRS, some changes that are being considered through the legislature. There was some information provided that I'll send over to everybody regarding some revisions that'll be brought up to the legislature, but I'll share that information because I think this is gonna continue with regarding something about debt through some type of reform that they want to do. So I'll forward that information as soon as I have it, and I'll bring back any future meetings that are discussed about this.
Councilman Castillo.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Councilman Villalpando.
I do have one thing, Mayor. I guess I should have said it while the item was going on, but I kind of spaced it. Where's Saul? Saul, good job on that item with Housing America on catching those discrepancies. When you guys catch that type of stuff, I'm like, yeah, good job, because sometimes people tend to miss it and they get a little at ease and thinking that everything's correct. So I just wanted to mention that now before I forgot. So thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
I attended the personnel committee that we're working on the new employee handbook, staff handbook, city handbook. And so I want to thank Terry and her staff and everyone that's attending these meetings. They're very informative. We're making good changes, good strides on what's happening. And man, this old, those updates sure needed to happen. And thank Jonah for all her ideas. But we're working on them really well. Thank you.
I want to thank staff for their hard work on this 4th of July. I've been seeing a lot of advertisements, so hopefully we have a good turnout. And also, again, I want to thank staff again, everybody. It's the end of our last meeting before the end of the fiscal year, so thank for all your hard work this fiscal year, and looking forward for the next one. So, we have 2 items in executive session. Discussion or consultation for legal advice, consideration of contracts and consultation with representatives of the city in order to consider its position and instruct its representatives regarding negotiations for the purchase of or lease of real property generally located 851 West Main Street. And item 8.2, discussion or consultation for legal advice and consideration of contracts with city attorney, or related police department operations, including discussion of SRO contract staffing levels and potential incentives for officer recruitment and retention. Is there a motion to convene into executive session?
So move.
So motion by Vice Mayor Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Councilman Castillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. We're gonna take a 5-minute break and then we're gonna go to the second floor where, yeah.
Yo agarré la de aquí.
Is there a motion to reconvene into regular session?
Make a motion to reconvene.
So motion by Councilman Castillo,
Second.
second by Councilwoman, Vice Mayor Delgadillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's 9:14. Meeting's adjourned.